Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the door panels both front and rear. And then quick overview of how to do this. It's actually not a bad thing. We're going to have to take off the tweeter and this trim. They both just kind of pop off. And then there's a little panel here to unclip with two T30 Torx behind it. And then after that, the whole door panel just snaps off. It's actually not that hard of a job. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started with some pry tools. So we can pop off this panel first. And that'll expose the T30s. Next, we'll move up to the tweeter. So I'm assuming that these are very similar to how the Harman Kardon system works, but just make sure. If you look over here, there's actually a seam. Now, don't pry in that seam. The way these work is they actually hook around the corner here. You can almost just grab it. I'm going to go ahead and use a pry tool, and like I said, down over here, you can just kind of pry it off, and it simply just kind of pops off. See, it's normally just hooked around that. Now the next part is to just unhook the tweeter. So again, there's two pieces of plastic here, the outer piece, and then there's this little tiny inner piece. Now you want to pry after the inner piece. Okay. Down here there's a hook, so you want to lift away to get it out of its hole. So as you can see, this is that second piece of plastic. See how there's two here? So they stay together, so you pry on the other side of those. And then here's the hook I'm talking about. Now we're just going to unplug this and set this aside. So the next part is just to remove this trim. And it's not clipped in anywhere. It's just kind of held in by the rubber seal. So just pull it off at this side and, just carefully work it out. It kind of just clicks over just the opening. So right here you can get your finger in there. And it comes off. Last little part we're just going to lift away. Okay, so right here is a very unique clip. You're going to grab it with some needle nose pliers, and the way it releases is you pull this out, turn it 180 degrees, and then stick it right back in. As soon as you do that, it releases. It's actually pretty cool. So a little quick note on these tabs. So the way they work is obviously those two little tabs here and here expand to hold it into the hole. And when you flip it over and plug it in there, it forces them down. If you leave it like that, what's going to happen is these little tabs are going to get naturally bent inside. And when you flip it over and try to reinstall it, they're going to stay in and it's not going to force them back out. So you can either reinstall it back so the tabs are out like you see here, or if they don't work, like I was struggling this earlier, just slide this down on a pliers to kind of manually force them back out and just let them sit like that for like 10 minutes or whatever, and it'll work again. So anyway, if you run into that problem, that's just a quick way to alleviate it. All right, so back to the door panel. So we're going to use a T30. There are two T30s. First one is here. Second one is near the back. The next step is just to pop off the door. There are 9 little snaps all the way around, and then the top channel is just kind of pushed in a little channel. So what you can do is you can usually get your fingers in there and just kind of do a quick jerk and it'll pop. What I don't like doing is anybody prying with a screwdriver, because you're going to mess up either your interior or scratch your paint. If you absolutely have to use a screwdriver, slide in a squeegee like this before, find one of the pins, like there's one there, right there, and then slide this and pry that way. So you're prying against this and not against this, right at the snap, and you'll get it to pop. So I'm going to try to do it with just my fingers. Usually, if you can get in there, a nice quick jerk like that will be able to pop one. So now we've freed up all the tabs. We just need to carefully pull it out here. And it's not hard. I would just do it nice and evenly so you don't bend it. It'll just slowly pop out. There you go. So on the inside of the door, just slowly pull it away. First, we're going to free up this. The next thing we're going to want to do is pull on this blue door latch cable. By pulling it away from it, you can easily get it out. And then we're just going to pull straight up gently to remove this. Next thing over here, we have a tweeter. My B&O tweeter's up here. Your tweeter might be somewhere else. Again, this just pulls straight out nice and evenly on the plug. Last thing is we have two clips here in the door, a magenta one, or red, and a blue. Again, those just snap. And if you're wondering, on the door module, all the colors are marked, so you can't put them in the wrong spot. All right, so onto the back door. This is very similar. No need to remove any of the trimmer on the top. It's just going to be the clips, the two T30s. Again, it's pushed into a channel up here, and then a couple clips around there. So I'll show you real quick how I do it. We're going to use a very similar method of just reaching and doing a quick pull and to get it released. Sorry if I blocked the camera. So again, like I said, it's secured into a channel up here, and you can kind of just slowly pull it out of that channel. Pops free. Okay, so inside the door panel, there's a couple things. We have the exact same setup with the cable lock. We could just pop that out by pulling on the blue thing and then straight up. Next thing is we got two clips here, both a blue connector and a magenta connector, burgundy. Last thing is this, the door lock is attached in this one, but all you got to do is just squeeze right here and it pulls right out. And then we have one more. Looks like we have a the tweeter. Again, pull straight down, straight out. Maybe wiggle it side to side just gently to get it out of its slot. And that's it. I'm actually changing out all my wood to the dark ash. I think it just complements my system a little better. One thing about the ash interior is on the cluster, it doesn't have a ash colored piece here. It actually has just a black one. Like this whole thing is actually a different piece. So on mine, I actually was able to wrap this one. And you can see that it's just done by some clips here on the back. And we can easily kind of wiggle these out. Just install the new piece right in. Okay, so that one's already done. Okay, so we'll start with the smaller one first and swap this guy over. They're all using basically a T20 bit to take the vents off. It's just unscrewed here. Once that screws off, you can see that there are clips here. There's 4 of them that need to come off for the vent to separate. And they're actually really easy to get off. We can go ahead and install this one back into here. So the next step is to remove everything from this one and install it onto the black ash trim. Again, it looks like it's just going to be a bunch of T20 Torx. And then just to go ahead and get us started, I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these other light tubes. I guess one key is here is just to be gentle with everything. Make sure you don't force, because you're working all with plastic, and you don't know how sun aged these pieces are. So we can actually leave this in place. That's going to stay in place. Looks like we're attached here, here. So we're just working slowly, just undoing all the clips before we pull. All right, so I've unplugged the clock. Now these should be able to lift away. Boom. All right, now to swap over the clock, there are 4 little tabs you just kind of got to depress. So if you look right here, you can access the tabs here and here to enable it to just slide out the front. Okay, and then it's just as easy as just swapping everything back into the new piece. So there's the clock. We're going to set this piece aside. I'm going to try to put it in the bottom hooks first. Okay, so we're going to put it over the bottom hooks. Now we're going to kind of rotate it around so we can see the top hooks as we snap it into place. All right. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and install one of these trims. So this is the driver's side door, so this should be the driver's side piece. So you can see on the piece we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws that we need to undo. So now we'll move on to the rear door. Very similar process. At least all the trim pieces are exposed on this one, which makes it kind of good. Now we have the finished new black ash trim piece in, and this door panel is all done. And it's the exact same process for all 4 doors. So once you know how to do one, you can do the rest. The best way I've found to get this to sink back into the channel is just use your whole forearm against the outside of the door. I just didn't want to ever push right up against this because I know this is wood. I don't know if you can crack these or not, but I don't want to take that chance.